Okay, this video is working with the autopilot, and as you can see, I've made a separate autopilot gauge here and made it large so we can see it. It's just a large version of this smaller one down here. And the reason we're working with the autopilot at the museum is some people have a hard time controlling the plane up and down and sideways both. So if we have the autopilot on and take the heading hold off so that it's holding the altitude but not the heading, then they can fly around from one side to another, make turns, but still not have to worry about the altitude. So as you can see right now, the altitude button is lit. This is the heading button and it's lit, and this is the autopilot power button. You turn it on, turn it off with this one. So if you load up the plane with the autopilot on, it's going to look like this. And we have it held at 2,000 feet. This is the altitude. And let me hit the pause buttons and turn it on so we can fly. Alright, now we're cruising along. And we've got the altitude set to 2,000 feet. If we want to change the altitude, you can, as you can see, when I move this across, the little hand changes to a plus, if you can see that. If I move it over here to this side, it changes to a minus. And if I click my mouse button, I can change my altitude down. I can change my altitude up. So right now we're gonna, and you can see it automatically puts in a vertical speed of 700 feet in the Cessna. So if I turn my altitude up, it's going to climb at 700 feet per minute until it gets to 2,500 feet. Give it a little more power. So let's bring it back to where our 700 disappears. Okay, there it was. Looks like we're at 2,200 feet and it's holding. Now if we want to let some people fly the plane around, all we have to do is click the heading button, and that turns it off so that now, as you can see, we can control the plane right and left. If people want complete control of the plane, you can just hit the AP button. You'll get the beep. Now the autopilot is completely off. People have full control of the airplane. And that's how the autopilot works. Now let's turn the autopilot back on, turn the altitude back on so we don't have to worry about that. And I want to show you how this heading section of this works. And let me just get rid of this for right now. And what I'm going to do is enlarge this window so we can see this a little better and show you how the heading part works. The heading, if we have the heading button clicked on, you can see a HDG came on right here showing us that heading is on. When you turn the altitude off, there's really no indication other than the light. But the heading button, when you click on it, the heading is going to follow what's called the heading bug up here on this compass gauge. You see this little orange indicator? This is called the heading bug. And you can move that bug to whatever compass heading you want with this knob right here, this heading knob. You can see this little bug has a picture representation here like it does up here. If you move it to the left side, you're going to get a minus. If you move it to the plus side, you're going to get a plus. So let's say we want to fly north. We hold our cursor down here, and now I'm clicking on the left mouse button. And as you can see, my heading bug is moving, and you can see that the plane is also turning. Whoops, I went too far. Let's come back to north. There. The plane will turn and stop at north. So you can pretty much fly the plane. Let me move this back down so we can see the plane. With the altitude indicator and the heading bug. Let's say we want to go up to 3,000 feet and we want to go fly east. I just come up here, start clicking my mouse button until I move my heading bug around to east approximately. Plane's going to turn. It's going to climb. You can see our vertical speed indicator here going up to 700 feet per minute. So we're climbing vertically at 700 feet per minute, climbing up to 3,000 feet. And you can see on our map down here that we are indeed flying east. So that's how the autopilot works, with the altitude, holding altitude, and holding a direction. Now sometimes if you load a plane and this light, heading light, isn't turned on, the heading will still be held without this light on. If it's loaded that way, you might try and turn the plane right and left and it won't turn, and you're wondering what the heck is going on. If you click the heading button on, then back off, a lot of times that will free that up. That's just a anomaly that's in Flight Simulator. When you first load it up with the autopilot altitude on, it will automatically be holding the heading, but the light won't be on. So if you have trouble, if people say, I'm turning the yoke, but it won't turn, click on the heading button, turn it on, click on it again, turn it back off, and then you'll have control. And that's how the autopilot works.